adventures. Today, we are at SeaWorld Orlando. But this is Manta, so we're going to be hanging out here for just a moment. Back here it comes. Here we go. And once again, that is Manta, which is currently with a 65-minute wait. Of course, with all the rides here at SeaWorld, lockers are available to rent. Personal belongings really shouldn't take along with you on these type rides. Okay, we are heading into the Manta Aquarium, along with thousands of other people. Excuse me. Feeding time. What's that for time? Okay, this is the Dolphin Theater, home of Dolphin Days. We'll probably be hitting that a bit later on. We're now in the Key West section of the park. And we're going to wander around just a little bit. Okay, we're now heading towards Stingray Lagoon. We're going to check out some rays. destination. Okay, this is Dolphin Cove, which is recently renovated, reopened. And here, obviously, are dolphins. There is also an underwater view for this attraction. And as you can see, there's photographers that'll take your picture while you're interacting with the dolphins. Okay, we are circling around, heading towards Journey to Atlantis, which is currently closed, undergoing its routine annual maintenance. Not that I'll be riding it today anyway, because it is a little bit on the chilly side. Okay, we are at Journey to Atlantis, and as you can see, it is most definitely closed. There's no water anywhere. Should be reopening in about a month or so, just in time for the warm Florida weather, whenever that returns. But it looks like it's an hour wait for the ride. I do like the theming of this area. And you can bypass the ride. You just see the exhibit, which is the penguins. And it currently is a 35-minute wait. So I think we're going to be skipping the penguins this trip. But as always, we will be back. So right now, currently, we're heading towards Pacific Point Preserve, which is a sea lion and seal habitat where you can feed them. And also right here is the entrance to Clyde and Seymour's show called Sea Lion High. Okay, here we are at Pacific Point. Man, no, they're not leopard seals. These would be California sea lions and harbor seals. Actually, I might be able to show you a little bit of Kraken right now. Okay, this is called Shipwreck Reef. It's also the home of the Shark Encounter and Sharks Underwater Grill. Yeah, it's spoonbill. Spoonbill. Barracuda.
This is where we go micro.
Look at all these tangs.
What we're looking at here, we've been working on about 3 to 4 years. Blue tanks, very difficult to run.
Anytime they want you to hunt them, you can eat them.
Yeah, they're super poisonous.
And now they're trying to introduce species to hunt them.
I know, whenever they do that, they always... What are they called? Hey, you want to picture in front of the thrasher? Want to picture in front of the thrasher?
Yeah, I got it.
Long before dinosaurs, long before birds, long before humans, there were sharks.
There are more than 450 different types of sharks, all so different in size, shape, color, diet, speed, and habitat.
Of shark teeth. Looks scary, but don't worry. It just has so many teeth that it can't close its mouth.
The small-toothed sawfish can reach an impressive size of up to 20 feet.
To get its next meal, the small-toothed sawfish swims through a school of fish and swings its toothy snout back and forth to pinch them. Why do you think its mouth is underneath its body?
Sharks are found from sandy, shallow beaches to the deep, dark ocean. The only life comes from swimming sharks and other glowing creatures.
Exceptional senses that measure things we can barely.
This is Mako, currently at a 20-minute wait. And this is SeaWorld's newest edition, Infinity Falls. I will not be riding this today. Looks like no one else is either. it drop. There's all that stuff is fine for this type water ride. Anybody riding this. This is actually my kind of ride, but not today. As they're like 20 degrees warmer. Here's another one. Well, over there's where they had the ice show for Christmas.
Yeah. That's when I'm like,
Yep. Jack Hanna signing autographs.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Jack Hanna.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Really, it wasn't that bad on the David Letterman show. I mean, only until he told me I was going to leave near the last show. It's not that I'm a walking encyclopedia of misinformation. Anyway, it was a lot of fun doing that show for a lot of years. And obviously, people staying up late got to see what animals were all about. A lot of you may or may not know that I came here in 1973 to be the director of the Central Florida Zoo. How many of you have been to Central Florida Zoo?
It's been
That's
years.
great. That was great for me to be the director of one of the first zoos I lived here, Sue and I both. And, oh, by the way, yeah, my wife Susie's right here, and I've been married to her this year for 50 years, so this basically. She is going to kill me for that. I can't help it. So we're not going to make 51 years soon. Anyway, I met her in college, and so Sue's been incredible. You can imagine what with animals I've raised over the years, being raised on a farm in Tennessee, and I always dreamed about being a zookeeper. So a lot of you young people that might be out there right now, my dad taught me something before he passed away at a young age. He said, Jack, remember something in life. Love what you do. You know, the two words are hard work. And I always told people, because at 14 years old, I cleaned cages in the Knoxville Zoo, and I said I was going to be a zookeeper. So a lot of you young people, if you want to have a gas station or whatever you want, my dad always said, love what you want to do. And I was just very blessed to be able to become a zookeeper, and guess where that was? Central Florida Zoo out there in Sanford, 1972. I'll never forget as long as I ever lived. The people here were so nice, and I never thought and dreamed I'd ever be coming back here and doing a speech at a beautiful SeaWorld. Now, a lot of you I know come to SeaWorld, but if you've known SeaWorld as long as I have, and they don't brag about what they do. But as far as in the animal world, the 221 zoos in our country, the SeaWorld parks give more to releasing these animals back in the wild than any of us almost put together. These folks have spent millions of dollars for us to have these animals for these children in years to come. So you might just want to thank SeaWorld for doing this, because I'll tell you something, everyone, it's amazing how they rescued the manatee, for example. I'll never forget that as long as I live. I was here about maybe 25, 30 years ago doing some stuff. I wasn't even doing speaking. And I walked by there and there was 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks about, you see that, see this box right here? They've done everything they could, because you had a terrible winter, cold that winter, then the red tide came through that same year, and they were doing everything in the world they could to rescue the manatee. And if you knew how few you had left back then, it was almost frightening. They took these animals themselves without even telling you, without even bragging about anything else, released them back out in the wild. Just recently released several more. So this beautiful park is going to be responsible for, I really believe this, in years to come, of saving the manatee from extinction. So you might give them a round of applause, everybody, for doing something to save an animal from going to extinction. Amazing what they do here. They probably do more for animals than anybody in this country, including all the zoos put together, by taking these animals, putting them here, saving them, and then releasing them back out in the wild. And they've done it all over the world. I've helped film it almost all over the world here at this beautiful park. So sure enough, that's where Sue and I came here to see this right when it opened up and we were living here. So that's why I always like to come back and talk to you all about the animal world. And again, for all the young people, that's how I started, folks, on the farm. My dad said, I always love what you do, and I was going to be a zookeeper. I went out to clean cages when I was 14, and sure enough, that's how I started. Because everybody asked me how I got started in the animal business, and that's what I did. So it's been a great honor for me to help the animal world somewhat, and I hope it's all worked. But in the David Letterman show, like I said, don't watch that garbage, but I'm just kidding. It was just fun, that's all. Right now, what we'll do here, let me see, I never know what my first animal will be, because we have these from SeaWorld as well as the Columbus Zoo, and there's an animal that I think more of than any animal in the entire world, our national bird, the American bald eagle. It's unbelievable, it really is. You can give them a round of applause. I would tell you right now, they have rescued, this park has rescued more of our national bird than anybody I know of. You can probably put all of our zoos together again, 220. These folks are always rescuing our national bird. Some people may not know that. You know, they get hit power lines, they get hit by cars, even lightning can hurt them. But this bird right here obviously is a young one that did not develop a white head and tail yet. And you see those talons on the feet there, or not saying I call them feet, their talons on that foot there is 1,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. Now they're not going to jump on you and take your arm away, lift you up, and take you away. I'm just saying that's the pressure they have when they do hunt, whatever that might be, rabbits or whatever animals they might be after. And the white head and tail develops after about 4 years old. And that way, I'm sorry to say that a lot of the young eagles like this might come down and get chicken pens of people, and they might think it's some old buzzard, and then they might not know that by taking the life of one of these animals, it used to be a $5,000 fine. I don't know if it's $10,000 today, but it's our national bird, and very well protected as well. But they are magnificent to film in the wild, as well as what you guys have done here at SeaWorld. I wouldn't even know how to count the numbers they've rescued. It's unbelievable, and put it right back out there. So thank you, SeaWorld, for saving our national bird. Beautiful job. Thank you. And when you watch those animals going down and get fish, it's absolutely magnificent to watch them hunt fish. It really is. I've really enjoyed that. This animal here, I doubt if many of you have ever seen this animal. This animal here, everybody, is called the echidna. It's an egg-laying mammal. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine your cow laying an egg? The duck-billed platypus and this animal here are the only two in the world that can lay an egg, and this is a mammal. And this right here, this is stupid again. You think I'll learn. It's not like a porcupine when they come out. Those quills are like a needle on the end of this right here. That's its means of protection. And this animal, I'll let you tell them where it's from, a little bit about it.
All right, so you'll find these guys, they live in Australia and New Guinea. And like he said, it is an egg-laying mammal, and they do have a pouch. And when they lay the egg, it will go into the pouch for about 10 days, and then it will hatch. And the babies have the cutest name, I think, in the animal world. They're called puggles. And the baby puggles, they'll be in there for, maybe 15, 20 days. But when the spines begin to develop, Mom says, all right, you're on your own. It's time for you to get out of the pouch. And then they'll hang there and be with Mom for about a year.
So it's something you don't very rarely see. I've only seen it one time ever when all the shows I've done over there. You can see it almost looks abnormal there. If you look at the feet, it looks like something's wrong with the animal, but it's not. That's just how it's made. And again, this animal protects itself by these things right here. A lot of times, everyone, when a dog or a dingo chases them and they go into a hole to hide, if you want to turn them around a second, this is what they do. They don't go way down in the hole. It's amazing how nature works. You see here, if you can hold that up one more time, I'll show you the tail here. See this? Maybe you can't, I can't, I'm sorry everybody. Right here is this thing is a protrusion here on the end, you see it right there. What the animal does, he goes, the dog or dingo chase, he goes in the hole and leaves that hanging out the top. What happens, the dingo tries to bite it, and of course gets the holes in his mouth. It doesn't necessarily take their life, it's not venomous, but they'll hit it like that. That's how nature is. So therefore, that dog or dingo will never ever come back to that hole where this animal lives. Because when they come out of their little hole, they don't go traveling all over the place. Probably the area about as big as this stage is what they want to, you can imagine they can't run. So they still right next to where they live in the hole. And that's how Mother Nature taught them to keep that hanging out. Once that animal hits it, then he's not going to ever come around that area. So you very rarely get to see these, everybody. I don't know how, someone said there's a half a dozen in our country right now, but we do the best we can to make sure this animal does not go into extinction. So there's one very rarely you ever get to see. The echidna. Thank you so much. Beautiful animal in its own way. And those things are sharp, everybody. They don't come out of the body like our animals do, the porcupine. Oh, this is something, isn't it? I guess a lot of you live in Florida, and snakes are something I just remember as a young man. You had in Tennessee where I lived on the farm, we had snakes there, we bring them in the house, and my mother kicked me out, but that's what I put them in the bathtub, in the toilet sometimes, but anyway, the snakes right now, it's something that some parents, they can't have dogs or cats because they're allergic to them, they might get them a small snake, but a lot of times, as you well know, in the Everglades right now, you have some people that just put them out in the backyard, and that ends up in a big problem. But what snake is this? Like, you tell me about this, even though I know what it is.
He's a red-tailed boa constrictor.
Tell me. How big does it get?
This is full size. They only get to be 8 to 10 feet. He's 8 feet 1 inch.
Yeah, I see it. It's 2 more feet. Jeez. No. I've only, when you work with animals, anybody will tell you this. If you're ever hurt by an animal or bitten, even by dogs and cats sometimes, usually 90% of the time it's the person's fault. And it was my fault trying to help a guy, a python, you won't believe this, 17 feet long, 2 of us. And there was a little, he was shedding up in here, and I just had never, this was like many, many years ago when I first had dealt with a lot of snakes. In Tennessee, I had little snakes. But what I did was, he was shedding, and so I went to pick it off this snake that was literally huge. This thing was this big. Went like this, and then he got a hold of my thumb here, and that's all been taken care of though, and got my thumb in his mouth, and went bam. And it was, you're in shock at first, but that's really the only time. It was my fault again. Most of the time when anybody gets bitten by an animal, it usually is. And sure enough, I went like this, and the guy says, "You can't do that, Mr. Hanna. I've got to hold your arm right now. I don't know why you did that. I was just trying to, I should never have done that." So he said, "You cannot move it because the snake is not going to let go. If you pull it out, well, you have part of your thumb not there, or whatever." And so sure enough, he said, "We have to wait here half an hour." Oh, that's great. Let's just wait an hour on it. He won't relax his jaw muscles, then you can release it. That was the longest half hour of my life. But anyway, so I don't go picking things off snakes anymore. But it was a python. And tell them what this is, where it's from again?
These guys are normally from South America, but they're an invasive species here in Florida. So to try and give people a better option than getting pets and not wanting them and releasing them, Florida Fish and Wildlife will host Pet Amnesty Days, where you can turn in exotic animals. No questions asked and no penalties. They just want you to turn them into them and they'll rehome them appropriately. So in 2009, SeaWorld co-hosted one of those days with Florida Fish and Wildlife, and Artemis was one of the animals turned in on that day.
See, that's something. Thank you for you guys doing that for these snakes. You're right, that's been great. It's amazing the ones in the Everglades. It's just a good thing that it's not certain other types of snakes. The ones you have down there aren't going to hurt you. Other species could do some damage, but it is, you know, it looks like a neat little pet to have if someone's allergic to something, but it can turn into another problem. This right here is an animal that, this animal, I'll let her say a few things and I'll tell you why the animal almost went into extinction.
So this is Maurice, and he is a red ruff lemur. Lemurs come from Madagascar, and it's the only place in the world that you can find this type of animal. There's over 100 different types of lemurs, and this is one of the ones that enjoys fruit the most. You can see here he's chowing down on some banana here on stage, but these guys are really, really important because they also, not only do they eat fruit, but they also eat lots of nectar as well.
Why don't you eat this way?
They also eat lots of nectar as well. So when they have their faces down into those flowers, eating that nectar, they're also going to be getting a lot of pollen on their face, and then they go from flower to flower, pollinating all the plants and trees in the rainforest of Madagascar. So these guys are really important. Unfortunately, they are a critically endangered species of lemur. So not only are these guys in trouble, because these guys are in trouble and they're so important for the ecosystem and the trees in that area, they also, it's also detrimental to the forests there as well.
You know, these animals, everyone, I wish each and every one of you could just go like this, because it's beyond anything I've ever felt. Not just on an animal, any kind of material or whatever it might be, it's beyond, it's like silk. I can't even describe it to you. But this animal also, the reason it became endangered, it also is used for a food source, and this is used for other things. I'm not going to go into it because there are children here. And this tail here is not a prehensile tail. This tail, folks, is like, if I did not have the sense of touch, I would never know that that tail even existed in my hand, because it's beyond, it's beyond belief. This thing is beyond, I can literally, I can go like that and blow it across the room. It's not even as much as a leaf. It's unbelievable. How the bone is in there, I don't know. But the tail always amazes me. And that little hand there, you can see it's just like almost like your hand. But they are an animal now that's, we're trying to get back where it won't be endangered, but it's pretty rough right now because they now have stopped consuming the animal in that part of the world. So thank you so much for bringing out that beautiful lemur. I'll see you later. He's something else, got little hands like mine do. So it's really a neat thing that goes on here in all these parks, and SeaWorld and zoos in this country, saving these animals. I want to let you talk about these. I cannot believe, am I going, I get to Florida quite a bit, but not a lot. But recently, unless it's just me, I'm seeing these in a lot of trees around Florida. Is that, am I seeing, is that right?
That's correct.
I guess people like them as a pet, you know, I know that, but I guess some of them just end up outside.
That's true. These guys are native to Central and South America, but they're an invasive species through the Caribbean and South Florida. And he's actually a local rescue. He was found at a local daycare center sunning himself on their slide 4 years ago.
Can I ask you a question? Is he just eating too much? What's he doing? This is, oh.
That's called the subtympanic membrane. Whenever it's a saltwater iguana, it helps them to exchange the salinity for freshwater. But on freshwater iguanas like this, it actually doesn't have a purpose.
She looks like he has the mumps or something. Could they bite?
They can, but their best defense is going to be their tail. They're really good at smacking things with their tail, and they also can lose their tail, like the small little anole lizards you see running around. And he lost his whenever he was first rescued. So you see the black stripe there? From that point backwards, that's 4 years worth of regrowth.
I thought so because the way it's so smooth. And when you see someone, you know, not fighting or anything, but you go slap that tail around and you can cut your hand off. It's amazing how sharp that thing can be. Well, thank you. And this one here?
This is a prehensile-tailed skink from the Solomon Islands. Unlike the iguana, this guy doesn't drop his tail. He actually can use it to wrap around stuff almost like a fifth hand.
How are these animals doing?
They are only found in the Solomon Islands, so they are considered in trouble. But there are conservation efforts, and then we have species survival plans in set to help if need be.
Thank you so much, because I know that they do so much work here at SeaWorld. Thank you so much for helping those animals. That's interesting. Thank you very much. Yeah, if you have a pet one, you gotta make sure you keep the pet one, because I know they're all over Florida. This, I know it's a fox, everybody. It's probably one that none of you have ever seen. Maybe I'm wrong. You know where you lived.
Yeah, so this is Sadie, and Sadie is called a swift fox. So swift foxes are found right here in North America. They're found out west in the Great Plain areas. The swift fox gets that name, swift fox, for how fast they can run. So they can actually reach speeds up to 30 miles per hour. So she is full grown. They can get up to about 10 pounds when they are full grown. But Sadie here, she does have a sister named Sophie back at the zoo. So we have Sadie and Sophie. But the swift fox was actually an endangered species in the 1930s. They were critically endangered, but with the help of different conservation groups, they have actually become registered least concern. So they are officially not endangered, which is super awesome for the swift fox. But in the wild, they're going to eat a lot of different fruits, vegetables. They'll also eat smaller rodents, so mice. They'll also eat rabbits and insects and bugs. Sadie's favorite thing in the entire world is actually cooked broccoli. So we have to come into work every morning and cook broccoli just for Sadie and Sophie. So that is her favorite thing. She will do anything for cooked broccoli.
You said cooked broccoli? Oh yeah, it's great. Sorry, my mother made me eat it. That's something though. Thank you so much for making Columbus Zoo. Thank you. We work so much with SeaWorld, but that's neat, everybody. That's an animal you don't very seldom see as far as that type of fox. By the way, if you have foxes around your house, like I did in Montana, where I was spending a lot of the summers, we had a fox on our farm, and I had 12 chickens. Sure enough, the animals out there, my wife was like, oh, that's beautiful, we have a fox here, Sue. What happened 2 weeks later, I go to check my 12 chickens, they're all gone. They're all laying there. There's kids in here, so I don't get the adults know what I'm talking, saying. I cannot believe it, what happened to them. They did. What in the world? They must have a parade going on, sorry. Jeez, you gotta be kidding me. This is the first time. If he starts flying, don't worry about it. If he lands next to you, he's just going to go to the bathroom, so don't worry, he's not going to hurt you. Oh, jeez. I've seen flamingos all over the place. There's different types of flamingos, everybody. South America, Africa. The flamingo is kind of different, but the beautiful legs they have. Jeez. Look at that. I still can't get over those legs. They're not even as big as a pencil. It's amazing to watch them. The SeaWorld's done a great job with these, everybody. There's the main problem in certain parts of South America and Africa. You see different types of flamingos. And there was one point where we thought they were all gone in some places. But that's the most incredible things I've ever filmed. I think it was in South America, Africa. I filmed it. See about 50 to 100 of these all coming into this lake. It was absolutely magnificent. See all those red things coming down, like orange, just red, coming down to that lake, all 50 to 100 of them. It was the most spectacular thing I've ever filmed. But they are something. See those big beaks there? I know, oh, y'all know this probably. What do they eat? They get down there with those long legs, and they stir their head under the water there, and they eat these little, who knows, little teeny things. I don't know what you would even call them. And they go in their mouth and filter it, and then that's what they eat as far as out there in the wild. But they do a great job here at this beautiful park as well. And they are an animal. These aren't ones that you put in your front yard, by the way. They're real. So, and they are something else. Those necks, I have no idea how they don't injure themselves every single day. I really don't. And especially the legs. But y'all have done a great job today. This is the first time I've ever done this, so this has been a new thing for me. Usually come on the stage here, not through the audience. But don't worry, they get next to you, all they can do is go to the bathroom, so don't worry about it. No big deal, they don't really bite or anything. They look like they've been living in here. Well, like I said, it is magnificent to watch them fly. It really is. It's something else to see. I don't think we should bring a cheetah out yet with the flamingos. No, we have some small things, but I wouldn't want to bring anything else. I can't even get my dog to do that. Jeez. I can't believe this. I've never seen that done. Thank you so much, everybody. You did a great job. That's something. See you for that. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a baby cheetah. Get out of the way here. Everybody at the Columbus Zoo, we have a very large collection of cheetahs. Now, you may not know this, Susie Rapp has been with me for 41 years and her daughter. The cheetah was just put on the endangered species list, what, 2 years ago, I think, Susie? I think 2 years ago. Put on the endangered list 2 years ago, cheetah. Was it put on the endangered list about 2 years ago? Oh, I thought they were put on there. Yeah, they're gonna do it. The cheetah is a beautiful animal, everybody, and Susie will tell you more about it right now, and then I'll add to it.
Thank you, Jack. These two little brothers, this is Alvin and Simon, the one that I'm holding, or I'm sorry, Theodore. Simon's back at the Columbus Zoo. These are 2-month-old cheetahs, and this is their first appearance is today, where they're actually doing their public appearance. And the reason they had to be hand raised because they were born with pneumonia, and so all the litter is doing great. And these guys are going to end up being ambassadors to their cousins in the wild. As Jack was saying, unfortunately, cheetahs are the most endangered big cat, or I should say the rarest big cat in Africa. Unfortunately, they haven't been put on the endangered species list, and we're not really sure why, because there's only 7,000 cheetahs left in the wild. And the problem with that is cheetahs have a 95% infant mortality rate in the wild. So 95% of all cheetah cubs born in Africa will not reach 1 year of age. And one of the reasons for that, if you look at these 8-week-old cheetahs, you can see they're very mobile. So unfortunately, they get themselves in trouble. And oftentimes when their mom's out hunting, they're getting hunted by other predators. So that's one of the big factors that cheetahs face. But they're also shot by farmers in Africa. And that's because a cheetah's going to get its food the easiest way. And sometimes that's climbing into the farmer's fence and taking one of his goats or one of his sheep. And so we work with an organization called the Cheetah Conservation Fund, and we raise millions of dollars for cheetah conservation. And these ambassadors will help do that. And what we do is we breed these dogs called Anatolian Shepherds, which are dogs that we place with the farmers in Africa, and those dogs will chase off cheetahs. And that's a good thing because a cheetah would rather flee than fight. So they're not going to get into a fight with a big dog. But one thing I want you to notice about these guys, especially if you look at their feet, it's different than any other big cat. Their foot really looks like a dog's foot. It's the only cat with non-retractable claws, and that's for speed, being the fastest land mammal, reaching speeds of 70 miles per hour, and they can reach those speeds in less than 4 seconds. So they're very successful hunters. The downside is they're not always successful at keeping their prey once they hunt it. Some of the other big predators come in, they watch the cheetahs do the hard work, and then they go steal their prey. So these guys have a lot of challenges in the wild, and with organizations like the Columbus Zoo, like SeaWorld, that's what we're all about. We're all about conservation and saving the animals, these guys as cousins in the wild. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. They know Columbus. Busch Gardens, they have some. But anyway, if you look at that face, everyone, you'll notice those teardrops. The black ones, like the football players, the baseball players sometimes wear that, looking at the sun. For the cheetah, as Susie said, this animal will hunt middle of daytime, 100 degrees. A lot of cats hunt at nighttime, as we all know. You know, the jaguars, leopards, animals like that, even lions somewhat. But this animal here, those little black things can sure look right there in the sun and hunt. And boy, to watch them run, like Susie said, is absolutely unbelievable. It's hard to, if you go home like on the interstate going 65, let a car pass you at 70. That way you really appreciate what the speeds of this animal are. And they were getting ready to put them on the endangered list, but I'm really thinking, thanks to the zoological world, Busch Gardens and everybody else, that this will never happen. This animal will be here for our kids and their kids for many generations, thanks to these folks that are raising the cheetahs. So that's why we do this. A lot of times everyone, especially spotted cats, on their first birth, they'll walk away from them, or even if it's a first birth, sometimes they'll be consumed by the mother. So we have to be very careful with these animals when they're especially first born. So I want to thank the Columbus Zoo for helping so good for the last few years of breeding these animals. Susie's been involved with this, so people, she hates me to say this, but people call her from all over the world about how to take care of cheetahs and what to do with them. It's a lot of work. So thank you for bringing those down from Columbus. Beautiful, beautiful animals. There's also Thank you. As I said before, everybody, and I'll say it again, I love coming here because I came here with my kids way back in 1973 when this park opened. My little girls were this big. And I'll never forget seeing the whales here. They still talk about it today, and they're a lot older. But this park is literally, this company has done more than probably all of our zoos put together when it comes to taking these animals, releasing them back in the wild, the eagles. It's amazing what this beautiful park SeaWorld does with not just the whales and animals like that, but everything else. And I just want to thank them for letting me come up here and say hello to you guys today, because it's a real honor to be here. It's fun to be back where I was at the Central Florida Zoo in 1972 when we first started it. We lived here for 4 years, so I love this part of Florida. God bless you all, and thanks a lot for coming to see this beautiful park. Thank you very much.